The content presented in this podcast series, inclusive of text, graphics, images, or other material, is intended for general information purposes only. The information presented is not intended to substitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You are advised to seek medical advice from a trained or qualified medical professional before introducing new items into your diet or healthcare regimen.
Hi, my name is Lian Gittens, and I'm the Program Assistant for the Biocultural Education and Research Program. And today I would be interviewing someone for our podcast and talking a little bit about herbs here in Barbados, how we use them, what we use them for, and how they can be beneficial. So with me today, I will allow her to introduce herself. You can go ahead.
Hi, my name is Margarette, and I'm from the parish of St. Andrew, and I have been using herbs for a very long time now.
Okay, Margarette. So tell us a little bit about how you got into using herbs. Who introduced you, or what caught your eye? What made you get into using herbs?
Well, actually, as a little girl, my parents always used to have the normal bush tea that they would give you every Sunday or during the week, whatever, and they always have a bush tea. But the main ingredient in that bush tea was cerasee, and they give you that to cleanse you, and that's how I got into actually using the herbs. I'm not using them for teas and all sorts of things like that for cleansing and whatever.
So the main herb you would have been introduced to then would have been the cerasee bush.
Yes, cerasee is actually the main ingredient in most of the bush teas. But then they come along, they put, normally they use a bush called Johnson bush, porter bush, sometimes gully root, Christmas bush, cloverall. But I don't actually know all of the bushes, but I know the cerasee bush, actually, I know that for sure.
And how would y'all usually go and identify or pick this cerasee? How would you go about collecting it when you were introduced to it? How was it done?
Well, I actually knew the cerasee, but normally my father, he knows the bush, and he would actually pick the bush, bring them out home, and dry them. And when you dry them, you put all in one big pot, because we had a large family. You put all in one big pot, and you boil them, and you then let it cool, you bottle it, and that would be our medicine. Because we never actually used to go to the doctor like that. That would be our medicine as children coming up.
And as medicine that you mentioned, what were the main problems that y'all were having, or the illnesses or ailments y'all were experiencing growing up that y'all would grab, or your parents or grandparents would go and grab the herbs bottle now and give it to you?
Well, actually, we were never experiencing any problems. The older parents did not wait until the problem arises. That we come along living, and they introduce that to you. And every week or sometimes they would give you that during the week. And they give you that, and you actually would not develop any severe illnesses. But I knew my mother came along as a diabetic, and some of my family members are diabetics actually now. But other than that, that was the only main thing that really, affected our family. But like other illnesses like that, no, because we were always on that bush tea. And then there were other things that were introduced to. Every end of month, you had to get like castor oil. You were purged. You were given a purge on Sunday mornings, and that actually, cleans the skin, and then all of those things actually purifies the blood. And that is how we came along living like that.
So the castor oil that y'all would get at that time, it would just be a spoonful. You'll have a spoon. You would just put it into the spoon and just take it in, and you'll have that every weekend?
Well, actually, sometimes like twice a month. But the castor oil is not a normal spoon. It used to be the big pot spoon, darling. The big pot spoon. Okay. You just heat some water. You put the castor oil bottle in the water to heat, and then when it's hot, you pour it out, and they give you that to take, especially on Sunday mornings. Sometimes we had orange to take behind it, but we mostly had a slice of, we squeeze a little lime juice, and we take that behind it as well.
And what were the effects of the castor oil when you had it? What did you experience after taking the castor oil?
Well, after taking the castor oil, it gives you a good, as the Bajan parlance, a good washout.
Okay.
Yeah, it gives you a good washout, and we never used to suffer from any illnesses like that, because you're constantly eating, and then they give you that sometimes every week, but mostly every twice a month, and it gives you a good washout. It makes you feel, rejuvenated, yeah?
Okay, that's excellent. So today then, in these times now, what do you make? What herbs do you use? What would you make? What would your routine be then when you use your herbs, or what you may give to others?
Actually, right now I get up on mornings, I take some cinnamon sticks, and I boil that with I like some lemon juice, some garlic, and some ginger, and sometimes I put bay leaf in it as well. And they say we boil it, we reduce it to, if you put in a cup of water, we reduce it to half of cup. And then they say that is good for cholesterol. It is also good for cleansing. And actually, the bay leaf too, you can also use the bay leaf hot. But what I do, I boil a lot of bay leaf. You can put lemongrass in it, a lot of other herbs. You can put pear leaf just to give it a different flavor. Okay. And you can use it hot, or what I do, I keep it in the fridge. And instead of using the normal sweet drinks that we call them, I normally use that as beverage during the day if you have to.
And these type of these mixtures that you make, what are the benefits that you would use them for?
Well, actually, right now I do a green drink. It is made from cerasee, some soursop, and some other soursop leaves, and some other herbs as well. But actually, a friend of mine told me about that, and she said that she used it for her friend to help cure, like, kind of cancer, during chemotherapy. So I normally use it, but I have never proven it, but I know right now you do it green. You have to wash them properly, but you blend the leaves green with water, and that gives you that green drink. It is very, very bitter, but I find it is very beneficial because it also helps with your sinuses, any colds in your stomach, and it also purifies your blood as well, and helps you get rid of all those toxins in the body.
Okay. So when you said green, so you pick them and then you use them, you blend them fresh, so you don't dry the leaves or anything like that?
No, I blend them, I wash them, I pick them, use them green. They're not dried or anything. I use them green. So actually, if I get some, I pick them in the morning, I blend them the same time. You blend them green, wash them properly, and just scrub the leaves, especially put the soursop leaves and stuff like that. You scrub them with some squeezy, with a little scrub. You make sure they're clean because they're not going in any heat.
Right.
So you just wash them and you put them in the blender or the magic bullet and you blend them with some water.
Okay.
And I find it's very beneficial because it's a very bitter herb when you drink it. But to me, it works for me with colds and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you find it any beneficial to your gut health or to your appetite? As you know that we've been told that bitterness in herbs usually aid in digestion and with secretions that are needed for digestion within the body. So do you find that also assists in your gut health?
Yes, it does. But I was a person who always had a good appetite, so it doesn't really affect me in that area. But it makes you feel, rejuvenated. And you don't have to take it. You can use it like medicine. I use it like medicine. And I normally take it like on mornings, and if I feel like at nights I would take some, I normally take it like for 2 weeks straight, and then it would stop, and then it would start back again, right? But when I stop that one, I go to another herb and use something different within that time. Okay. Yeah?
So how do you determine the quantity or the number of leaves that you are going to use within your blend?
But I formulate like a recipe on my own. I did like equal amounts of both herbs, right? I do equal amounts. So you get equal amount in every mouthful you take. I just do equal amounts. Say if I put in 5 leaves of five papaw leaves. Well, I don't really measure it like that because the cerasee leaves are a lot smaller. So what I do, I put in like a container of leaves, equal amount of leaves, you know, and I find that really works well. But I guess you can put in more of one, and it depends on what you want as well.
Okay. So apart from the cerasee that you really mentioned, the soursop, the castor oil that you would have used growing up, how did you determine the other herbs, these other herbs that you would add to your juices or to your blends that you make? How did you learn about them and their benefits? How did you know? Were these all used when you were growing up, or did you learn some along the way as well?
Yes, when we were growing up, those are all the herbs that we use in bush tea. We use the bush tea. But as I told you, I don't know all of the herbs.
Okay.
I know some. We used that bush tea, and then we had bay leaf, because my mother used to include bay leaf. When we were making porridge, we used bay leaf. At that time, you had hard spice. We didn't know about any cinnamon then. We had hard spice. And I know we used to use pear leaf tea in the evenings. That used to be called a cooling tea. So you use the green pear leaves. You can also mix, I think, guava with that. You can put mango with it, a few cherry leaves and stuff like that. But my actual connection was I had a bit of high blood pressure, and I was told about the yellow breadfruit leaf. And I did use the yellow breadfruit leaf. You scrub it and you boil it and you just leave it to steep. And I used that on mornings hot for tea and during the day as a drink. And believe you me, that brought my pressure right down. I can testify for that yellow breadfruit leaf.
Wow.
That brought my pressure right down. And right now, my pressure is normal.
That is amazing.
Yes,
that
and they say too that bay leaf also assists. I think they assist with pressure and stuff like that. And like losing weight, they say bay leaf helps in that. And there's also another thing, parsley.
Yes.
I come along my mother using a lot of parsley because she was diabetic, and they said parsley help regulates that.
Okay.
But parsley is also used for cleansing the kidneys, also cleansing the body. So I use all those herbs, you know. Not every month you use them, you know, as you go along in proportion. When you feel you want to have something done, you want a cleansing, you use the parsley.
Right.
And there's also another herb to Wonder World. I believe you heard about Wonder World.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yes.
That is a good herb for colds and flus. Because we come along using that, and you can, in the old time days, the people they didn't have any blenders or that, so you used to put it in a little, tie it in a little sack, like a piece of cloth, and you beat it. You beat it until the juice, and then you squeeze that juice out, and you put a little tip of salt with it till you get like a tablespoon, and then they give you that for the cold, and that really works for the cold as well. And there was another bush you call, I don't know what is the name of it, but it used to have some little ball. It used to grow a flower with little balls on the end. We used to call it governor balls.
Yes.
So we used to take those leaves as well, and squeeze them the same way, and put salt, and I think that too was good for colds as well.
Okay, the ball bush, that's what it's called now. Ball bush.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we also have the aloe vera. The aloe vera is also used like a blood purifier too. And I was told that it's good for the eye, so I started using it. Cut piece and put it in my eye to help clean the eye and stuff like that. But I haven't used it long enough to really see the value of it as yet.
Okay.
But I know aloe vera too is good for, I remember my niece had pimples, a lot of pimples on her face, and I used it to blend the inside of the aloe, blend it, and she would wash her face with that, and that really cleansed her face as well.
Okay.
Yes, and it's a good blood purifier, because normally when we were coming up as children too, my sister used to take the aloe. It is used for like menstrual cramps. It helps the relief of menstrual cramps. And we would just cut off the prickles at the side and just cut it up and put it in a saucepan with some water and boil it. And then we would take that like 7 or a week before our expected menstrual cycle started, and it used to really help with the pains of the menstrual cycle, and that was the aloe vera.
Wow, that is some amazing information.
Yes.
You mentioned the length of time of some of these herbs that you would use them for. Going back a little bit, you mentioned the yellow breadfruit leaf that helped with your blood pressure quite a bit.
Yeah.
Do you remember how long you were taking it before you had experienced some results?
But actually, I think it was in a matter of a week to 2 weeks, because what I did, I used it constantly. And as I said, I would drink a cup on mornings hot, and during the day, instead of drinking drink, I would use that as drink. And normally I would say I would drink like a hot cup of like 2-3 cold cups during the day. And I did that constantly for the first 2 weeks, or until the amount that I had boiled was exhausted. And I say after a week, I saw results.
Wow.
And after I did that for 2 weeks, what I did then, I stopped that. And then there's also like garlic. I used to use like 3 good big pods of garlic and a good big chunk of ginger. And I would get a quarter liter of orange juice, the sweet one, right? And I would heat it, and then I would put it in the blender and blend it with this garlic and ginger, and that also assisted you in the high blood pressure. But when I blend it like that, I never used it to strain it. I would drink everything, and that also helped in the high blood pressure, and also molasses. I did that for 2 weeks, and after that, I drank hot molasses for 2 weeks. So when that hot molasses finished, then I go back into breadfruit, and my blood pressure came down really good. Really good. I don't suffer with that again.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing.
It is amazing. It is. And we also too. You can take the aloe vera plant. What I do I cut off the ends. You blend it green with a same quarter liter of orange juice and some cayenne pepper, and that helps cleanse the body as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of you have a lot of formulations that are very good for the cleansing of the body.
Yes, yeah. You know, there are other things that you can use, and sometimes too. What I do the same. We take the same bay leaf. I think I had mentioned this before, but we put some lemongrass in it and mix some other herbs and just boil them, and that, especially lemongrass, it gives it a really good flavor. And you can use that instead of using all the sweet drinks that you have nowadays. If you feel like, as the old people will always tell you, can brackish it with a little sugar, brackish it. And that is a good drink to have. You can use that during the day as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Marguerite. This was a very, very interesting segment here today. You gave a lot of good information, a lot of herbs. I really want to thank you for taking the time out to come and speak with us today, and to give us a little bit of the history of how herbs were for you growing up and how you're able to utilize those herbs today. I hope that you had a great time today, and that our listeners would find this information very valuable, as I have found it to be valuable and very interesting. So
yes, thank you very much, Lian. Thank you, and thank you very much for having me on the program as well. You have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.